get stuck into the India versus Australia fourth test.
Sorry, guys, just
It was a hard one to watch.
yeah. So Australia,
It wasn't hard to watch. It was excellent cricket. Let's be
interesting.
honest.
yeah,
It was very good cricket.
As an Australian cricket fan, it was very hard to watch that fifth day. Australia's lost back-to-back series at home against India. This one probably stings a little bit more because we're essentially playing like an India A side in this fourth test. So Ashwin, Bumrah, Jadeja ruled out from the last test.
Yeah, Ashwin being a very late one because I think when we did our last podcast, he was. They were still talking about the squad, but then the next day, of course, he was ruled out.
That's right. So as of last broadcast, we knew about Jadeja and Bumrah had a big question mark, and then Ashwin late scratching. 3 out, 3 debutants come in. Washington Sundar, the tall off spinner, Shardul Thakur, one of their quicks, and Natarajan, another one of their quicks. We kind of got obviously our in-depth knowledge of the Indian back catalogue not as strong as it could be. No. We predicted Natarajan would come in. We thought Kuldeep Yadav, the left-arm Chinaman, might have come in. He was omitted. And we also thought maybe Prithvi Shaw, one of the batsmen that had played earlier in the series, might come back. They decided to blood 3 new guys in a test match where they can't lose. Obviously, Australia had to win, and the draw would have seen India retain the series because they won last time out, 2-1. Australia win the toss. We elect to bat. Hunky-dory at the Gabba. We mentioned we haven't lost a test at the Gabba since 1988, so before any of us were born. Labuschagne goes out, makes 100, gets 108. Tim Payne had 50. We make 369. The Indians share the wickets. It's probably par score there at the Gabba.
I'd say in hindsight, they probably didn't score quick enough considering the couple of rain delays as well, which lost time.
Yeah, and we had mentioned that there was rain on the radar.
Not as bad as...
It probably rained less than expected. So I don't think we can use those... we didn't really lose that much time due to rain delays in the end.
Yeah, but I don't think they scored quick enough.
Yeah, possibly. I think Pujara doesn't score quick enough. That's anyways. We'll get to that.
Different story.
We'll get to that in a sec. Obviously, he does because they won the bloody series. So 369. Yeah, I think that was par. Maybe 400 would have been good, but that's plenty of runs on the board.
I think the day one pitch was very much. They should have scored 500 on, and they were very lucky because Labuschagne was dropped. I think in the teens. So
he was dropped early on. Our openers didn't do anything. I think that would have been
4 for 93 from memory.
Yeah,
Like it was dire straits.
Yep.
So they definitely...
We made them pay. They always talk about, you get dropped early, you got to make them pay. So Marnus did that for us, and he's just been a star. Our best batsman this series, and our best batsman really over the last 18 months, which is pretty incredible considering there's a guy called Steve Smith in that side.
Yep.
India go out there. The Aussies start really well. Have them on the ropes at 6 for 186. Enter Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur, 2 debutants, not in that side for their batting.
Yeah, not phased at all.
They put on 123 for the 7th wicket. They get India to a respectable 336, only 30-odd behind. I think that was a partnership of the test match. That really, really changed the outcome of the test match. The Aussies would have been thinking, we've got 2 blokes out here batting 7 and 8 that they're on debut. We should be skittling them and then getting right into this tail. They played some really nice cricket shots actually in this partnership. Joshy Hazlewood, the pick of the bowlers, he had 5 of 57. So Australia go out in their second innings, 30 runs ahead, make 294, probably a little bit unders. Would you have thought that? Obviously, time was going to be a factor. Now they couldn't stay out there and bat. Yeah,
and the rain, of course, didn't.
The rain hurt, well. and most of them were. I think they were trying to score reasonably quickly. I think they were scoring about 4 and over, 4.5 and over. Obviously, they couldn't draw, so they had to try and get the runs on the board. So what was their lead? 328, wasn't it?
I think 328 still is pretty respectable. They probably should have scored more than 300 and aiming for that 350 kind of mark.
Yeah, but they had to do it quick.
They had to do it quick.
And once, Nathan Lyon and Mitchell Stark and those guys were out there, they were just swinging the blade. They knew that we can't be chewing into bowling time here. Yeah. We either need to hit boundaries or get out, essentially. And I think they did well down the bottom there.
But I think realistically, 328 with a day to bat, like that's a good total.
Yeah, well, it smashed the old record, wasn't it? What was that, 287 or something? Or?
Yep. Well, at Sydney, I think Gabba's...
Or was it less? It might have been less.
Yeah,
well, that's the most... the successful run chasers at the Gabba. I know it obliterated the record.
Oh, definitely.
It might have been much less than that, actually.
Well, it's the most on Australian soil.
Yeah.
Because the 287
in Sydney was
the largest run chase before then.
Jeez.
And as we were saying previously, there had been teams that had got into the 300 but drawn the test.
Yeah, that's right. They were chasing 450 or something. Anyway, so they obliterate all their records. Shubman Gill goes out and scores a pretty quick 91. Pujara bats the way Pujara does. He chewed up some balls, didn't hurt him in the end. He makes 56 out of 211. And I think the way Pujara went about it the morning of that fifth day, really smart, Stay out there, eat as many balls as you can, score a little bit. He's only obviously scored at 20, striking at 25 there. But he made sure that they weren't going to lose.
Yeah. Exactly, and then work him into a position where if they wanted to, they could put the pressure down and possibly...
That's right, and as the day went on, you started to get the feeling, Australia can't win this, and then you started to get the feeling, hang on, India can bloody win this.
Yeah, especially when they've got Pant ready to come in.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they elevated him. He was one up.
I think he batted 5, one ahead of where he normally would. Richard goes out there and makes a really nice 89. Credit where credit's due.
He especially in this and the last test, was excellent for them. So
surprised that he was missing, didn't play in the first test, given the way he went about his business. He's a really nice player. He's also, I think he's 23. So he's going to be something that the Aussies and other international cricket teams are going to have to worry about for a long time to come. Obviously, one of those guys that has transferred his skills from the IPL and from the shorter format into the test arena.
Well, if Gilly's the prototype or the consistent kind of the stereotype that you're looking for, then he fits that mold quite well.
Scores quickly, yeah.
Good with the gloves and comes out and scores quickly.
For sure. Personally, I wouldn't mention him in the same breath yet.
Not yet, no. But I meant as the
if you're moulding your game, after someone, then Gilchrist is obviously the in my opinion and probably everyone's opinion, the best wicketkeeper batsman of all time. Mm-hmm. Queries under Sangakkara, was he a wicketkeeper? I think Gilchrist, in terms of his hitting ability, maybe even more effective than Sangakkara as a wicketkeeper batsman. Anyways, that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, Pant's 23. He bats really well. He's going to be in that Indian side, you'd think, for a long time. Paddy Cummins, best of the bowlers in this innings and in the whole Test series. He had 4 for 55.
I think he got man of the series as well.
I think he did in a losing series.
Pant got man of the series.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yep.
Okay, there you go.
There you go, from 3.
Maybe Cummins was the Aussie pick.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm talking match.
Yeah. Man of the match was Pant. I thought I saw that. Cummins was.
It makes sense because Cummins, of course, had a great series and played all 4 compared to...
What was his numbers there? His average was like 19.
Yeah, 21 wickets, I think.
Have you got Australia's bowling up there? Just got to scroll down, I think.
Cross.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
He's the top one. So 51 maidens, 421 runs in total, 21 wickets with 20 average.
Look at that. So he bowled 162 overs, bowled 51 maidens. A third of his overs were maidens.
Mm-hmm. And I think his economy it's 2.6 overall the series, but in that last test it was a lot lower than that.
Yeah, well, there was a stage where he was going for like 1 and over. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that doesn't really matter. You need wickets more than anything.
That's probably more the Indian cricketers playing a little bit more defensive.
Yeah, Pujara, the most boring bloody cricketer in the world, but he got to hand it to him like this.
Fortress.
Go. So yeah, that wraps it up. The Aussies have lost 2 in a row at home to India. Mm-hmm. Can't remember the last time we've lost 2 in a row to maybe the West Indies in the 80s was probably the last time that we've lost back-to-back series in Australia. Obviously, England have undone us here, but never 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I reckon you'd have to go back to the West Indies there in the 1980s. Tim Payne.
Well, let's go. I want to go to the last one first.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just talking before about the overall in the whole series, India had 2 guys play all 4.
Yep. Rahane and Pujara.
Yeah, and we were saying they're probably batters 3 and 4.
Yep.
So as a comparison, if Australia had done the same, they would have only played with Labuschagne and Smith throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
And then you got
and even then, that's a rough comparison because Kohli obviously didn't play 3 games, so he's essentially their Smith.
Yes.
So it's like playing with Labuschagne and then pick another middle order batsman.
Yeah. Whoever bats 5th, and that changed a few times in this as well.
That's right. Pretty incredible. And another comparison, I suppose, India didn't have any of their number 1 pick bowlers in this test match. So it would have been like us going into a test match in India with the bowling attack being like, Sean Abbott, maybe say Jai Richardson, maybe say Mitchell Swepson.
Yeah.
Who was the other fellow was saying he's in the squad?
Started with an N. Was it Nisa?
Michael Nisa, yeah. That would be the bowling attack for Australia. Like, the fact that they've won this, I hate it. I hate the fact that, obviously we're snobs. We grew up with the 90s and noughties cricketers where we couldn't lose anything.
Yeah, we'll get to some stats on captains as well when we talk about Tim Payne, but you definitely it's so...
It stings. It does sting the fact that an India A side, gets this historic win on our own home soil.
I think this probably goes back to that conversation we were having in previous sessions where you can already start to see the Indian depth. They were so dominant in this, considering, like you say, the amount of changes they had. And as a comparison, I don't think Australia's team in a similar situation, even in this country, don't think does as well as they did in this. Outside of one collapse from India,
the third, historical collapse. But outside of that, they were
just
great.
flat dominant. And Australia really couldn't do anything to they put themselves in situations to win in both the Gabba and Sydney. Tesla, that they probably should have won, but were beaten by a better side. Yeah. Honestly,
really, they should have won Sydney and Brisbane, from the positions that they got themselves into.
Definitely.
And also, having said that, Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood were both really good.
Yes,
throughout this whole series. But is there then, does Stark and Lyon, who didn't have the greatest series, can you get up their numbers when you get a sec? Yeah. There, Jimmy, should they be feeling a little bit of the pressure?
Just to finish my point, I just wanted to say, that India dominance. I think we were maybe on the cusp of already seeing that with the amount of talent. Yeah. These guys, how young they are as well, coming through, just fit in, not even worried about one of the best bowling attacks on the planet.
And when they were getting peppered with short stuff.
Exactly, just took them to task, just kept it in there, knew they could probably break the game plan the Australians were trying to do with a lot of the short stuff, and then they were going to be in this game competitively. But that's now, and all the academies, all the stuff we've been saying in the past,
it's going to get worse.
It's just going to get worse. They're just going to be,
from our perspective,
for cricket. I think they could be that dominant in the next 10 years that
no one goes with them.
Yeah, they could sit at 1. They could be the All Blacks of Test cricket.
Yeah, and I hope it doesn't get to that stage. But I think you're right. And with the advent of social media, a lot of these kids are getting picked up when they're 5 or 6. They chuck them straight into academy. They've got a ton of money, way more than anyone else in the cricketing arena has, whereas maybe that wasn't the case back in the 80s and early 90s. They're going to be an absolute wrecking ball in world cricket for years to come.
Definitely.
And I don't know how us, with our population being, I'm going off the top of my head here, but maybe 1/300th of theirs.
Easy.
There's the talent pool. They've probably got.
Well, if you
I'll say this confidently, they've got more men playing cricket than we have people in this country.
Oh, easy. So, if you say it's 1% play cricket, this country, that's what.
We're really speculating here. But there's probably a few 100,000 cricketers here. Maybe if you take in Sunday socials and park cricket, maybe there's 1 million odd.
Yeah, but
there's probably 1 million cricketers in Mumbai.
Well, if on my 1%, that's like 250,000 people in Australia. 1% in India, What's their current population?
Oh, 1.3 billion, but who really knows?
yeah. So
that's 1% is 13 million there.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can see
quick maths. I think we got one for once. Normally our quick maths is shit house.
But as a comparison, you can see that the amount of
talent pool.
The talent pool is just ginormous.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely mad. They're investing in it.
Yeah. And it's even here, like cricket is synonymous with Australia, but kids play footy, kids play rugby league, kids play rugby, kids play soccer. There's a whole array of sports that people do play here in different pathways. I don't know if you guys have ever looked up the Indian stats at the Olympics or how their soccer team goes.
Not great.
Their soccer team for a country of 1.3 billion people.
Actually, I think they've been doing
horrendous.
They've been doing much better in the athletics of late.
I think in the field disciplines, and you know what? I think they're good at weightlifting and wrestling off the top of my head.
Yes.
But if you look at their Olympic medals, it is for their population is rubbish.
Yeah.
Every kid wants to be a cricketer.
Oh, definitely.
Over there, that's the dream.
Yeah.
It's going to just be very, very difficult to compete with in the future. I don't know. Maybe we've got to get on some of that, cloning technology or something. We just have 6 Smiths out there, Gilchrist clone and 4 Cummins clones.
Or we just say, hey, Australia's a really great country. We're very multicultural and diverse.
And we'll just have an Indian Australian team.
Exactly. Labuschagne's South Africans.
What about the bloody Poms? They've been doing it for years. Half their team's South African, the others are Indian English. I like born there. But anyways, speaking about Stark and Lyon.
Yep.
Stark bowled 137 overs. He only had 11 poles. His average 40.7.
Did he get a wicket in this last innings? I don't think he did.
I think he got 1.
Did he get 1?
I think he got 1. Did Stark have a wicket in this last?
Because I know Lyon got 2.
None for 75 and expensive as well. Went at 4.7.
Yeah, most expensive of all the bowlers over the Test series. Not unsurprising.
Yeah, 3.3. That's fine.
His style's a bit more.
Yeah, and when he's obviously
he's the aggressive bowler.
And obviously a little bit more erratic than say Cummins and Hazelwood. But when he's doing those big in swinging Yorkers or when he's putting it on your chin, terrifying. Just wasn't quite. I think he was bowled a little bit without luck in this series.
I think he had a few niggles hamstring wise as well.
Definitely in this last test, you could see that he was really his body was starting to give up on day 5.
It was quite interesting in previous years. They've always talked about resting players and they don't like it. Blah blah blah. Maybe this kind of showed that 1 or 2 of these guys probably needed a break.
Maybe. I feel like obviously the resting and rotation policy has been a massive thing in the ODIs for a long time. I feel like in Test matches you want to have your core 4 guys, and if they're not able to go, then maybe you replace them. But I don't know about Stark. I love Mitchell Stark, watching him when he's on. But those numbers were pretty ordinary. And then speaking of ordinary numbers, another guy that I love played his 100th Test. Just fell short of 400 wickets. I think he finished with 398 in his career.
I think he's on 99 at the moment.
399.
Yeah, he's because he was on 390 and those 9 gets him to 399.
There you go.
But everyone thought probably coming into this that he would crack 400 easy.
Well, yeah, only managed the 9 poles in this series at an average of 55. Probably one to forget for Nathan Lyon. That said, that the wickets weren't doing a whole lot for the spinners, I didn't think.
Yeah.
I think he was having to rely on bounce more than turn.
Well, you look at what Ashwin pulled off 12 wickets and Washington got 4.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's an argument there.
Weren't as expensive.
Yeah.
They had better averages.
Jadeja had 7 in his 2.
Mm-hmm.
Average of 15. I suppose as well, then apples and oranges, Jadeja bowls left arm orthodox compared to an off spinner. I don't think he's getting dropped anytime soon, but I do think that him and Stark didn't have the best series.
Well, I think maybe this comes into the point when we talk about the captaincy, the tactics. I reckon Australia tried a lot of the short stuff, a lot of the short ball.
Yeah.
When it didn't work, they had nothing else.
Yep. Yeah.
They couldn't really move the ball around at all. When the new ball came, I thought the Indians got more out of the ball.
Yeah.
Definitely. It moved around a bit more.
Yep.
They really didn't get much out of the pitches, unfortunately. The Gabba didn't have its usual kind of bounce, or there was a few cracks.
Yeah, there was some cracks.
But not consistent enough to hit them.
Well, and they seem so why, like Nathan was bowling around the wicket on that fifth day and trying to sort of bring the cracks and the footmarks into play. They seemed so far down the leg side of the right-hander that they just wasn't affecting anyone.
Yeah, and I think it was very interesting with Lyon as well that, like you say, he didn't bowl enough over. I think the opposite.
Yeah, maybe.
Like his last wicket he got of re-bowled the guy. I can't remember the Washington?
Sunda. Yeah,
Sunda.
He was trying to play reverse swing, even they needed 7. The test match was gone.
But he looked more dangerous going in from that angle at the stumps.
Yeah.
Whereas he bowls too much on the other side.
Yeah, I do.
I think throughout the entire series.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I do agree. Obviously you take out the leg before. I think he was just trying to make advantage of whatever was happening with the pitch. There was a couple where he's hit something, whether it was a foot mark or crack, and it's spun to first slip. But yeah, and as you say with the quicks, maybe they needed to have a bit more of that McGrath-esque approach, and just have the occasional bumper to keep them honest. And I thought just be going top of off.
Which is what I thought.
Bumper once an over, once every 2 overs, rather than every second ball.
Which is what I thought Cummins did more, and what I probably wanted more out of Hazelwood in this one. I don't think Hazelwood was consistent enough with his line in that last innings to take the wickets. That
the bloke did have 5 of 57 in the first,
yes.
But yeah, possibly when the game was on the line, I do think Pat Cummins was head and shoulders above the other guys.
Oh, you could clearly see the difference. They just wouldn't go anywhere near what he was bowling.
No.
Whereas as soon as the other guys came on, that's when
they were looking to score.
Yeah,
for sure.
So let's keep going on tactics.
Yes.
What did you think? Was all the talk about Tim Payne. Tim Payne is captain. He's the test in a losing test. In a losing series. Sorry. Outside of, like we mentioned, the one collapse from India to win the test, they had got into some really good positions but couldn't finish them off. India were clearly the better side throughout the whole series. What's your thoughts on Tim Payne?
I don't know if they were clearly the better side throughout the whole series. They were better on day 5 in the last 2 test matches. Definitely. I think other than that, it was pretty neck and neck.
Pretty close, yep.
Yeah. What Australia really lacked was that finishing, that foot on the throat, burying a side when you've got yourself into position to win. I think that was the difference. And you got to commend the Indians on being able to fight through day 5, and with as we've beaten to death the India A side. Tactically there was times on that 5th day when say Nathan Lyon was bowling and he had a first slip and a bat pad. And that was it. And then there was a bunch of...
There was no one in front of the batsman. Like, there was no one there for any of that short stuff.
Bunch of blokes, just out there, easy single to deep point or easy single down a long on, where they were just giving them a lot. Maybe they could have gone a little bit more aggressive and crowd that bat a little bit more and go, look, we need to win this test. If you can hit it over our heads, hats off to you.
I think that was one of the stats was Nathan Lyon, off his bowling, had the most drops. As well, and a lot by Tim Payne too. Yeah, so he wasn't
a lot of difficult chances. But definitely. I think when you're on and you're really confident, you're probably sticking 8 out of 10 of some of those
just
chances.
Gobble them up.
Yeah. Either of you boys ever kept up to a spinner in your junior cricket or anything?
No, not from him memory.
Obviously 6'6". We keep that much, but I'll tell you what, it is so difficult. I'd just about rather one of the diving ones off the quicks than getting those little schnicks off the off spinners, especially when there's a little bit of extra bounce and it just can sort of pop on you. What looks easy on television can be very difficult in real life. That said, if you are gonna, if
you're a specialist keeper,
and they always say we pick Payne because he's the best keeper in Australia. You probably do want to be gobbling up a few of those. I do wonder as well, was he in his own head a little bit? There was a lot of sledging when
we knew he was very frustrated in the Sydney Test. You could see it.
You could tell.
I think he definitely got more frustrated. He wasn't. I don't think he was as frustrated in the Gabba as he was in Sydney, but he definitely
not externally, but
I think he could see it was wearing on him a bit.
Yeah,
too.
for sure. And but you're the captain of your nation, and there's a big asterisk around it, obviously, with the whole sandpaper gate and everything that goes on. And
he was
so much media scrutiny, like bloody dickheads, sitting around drinking a beer talking about it. And
He was definitely the right choice for captain coming off that.
I love it. Like I really like Tim Payne.
Yeah.
I think he's a quality leader and usually very humble. I like the way that he goes about things. Yeah, I do think maybe he was a little bit in his own head in this test.
Yeah, I want to go back to one of the points you just made before. The best gloveman in Australia. Is he still the best wicketkeeper in Australia?
Yep.
As his specialty?
Yeah, I think so.
'Cause
I think so.
I know you got Wade in the team, and he's not as great as a wicketkeeper. And you look at his batting, and this Payne did average, I think, at least 10.
Should have it over there. I think Payne averaged about 40.
He did average 40,
in
and
the
I
series.
think Wade averaged 20-something, 21.
So there you go. So,
But he did.
But based on batting, obviously Tim Payne really outclassed Matthew Wade. A lot of that is compounded by a few not outs by Tim Payne at the end.
But if you're looking to replace him, you're not looking at Wade. Kerry's really not.
I think
up there at the moment.
think Carey or Philippi. Well, I'm talking a few years down the track. I think Tim Payne. There's obviously a lot of scrutiny around his captaincy and should he be in the side. I think he should stay on for a little bit. But going down the track, it has to be Carey or Philippi. Just when that happens, it can't be now. Philippi's 23.
You could probably bring him in as keeper, but he wouldn't be captain.
Oh God, no! I'm talking about wicketkeeper.
Yeah,
I'm talking about being a wicketkeeper.
Cool.
No, God, no, not even in the discussion. Is Philippi ready to go play a few 2020 internationals? Yeah, probably.
He probably needs to start working his way into the Australian teams.
Yeah,
to start getting him ready for
get there. Is Carey going to be the next Australian Test keeper? Maybe his Shield record's not bad. Not bad. Wade's obviously quite old as well.
Yeah, I don't think you switch out Payne for Wade in that conversation just because of age.
I think
probably want to
I think
start
Wade will be lucky to keep his spot after this.
You probably start thinking again young, and you look at some of the other guys coming through there, young guys try to build that core nucleus. So maybe you lose a couple of years, we fall down, but then you're more dominant in 4 or 5 years' time to then compete with whatever side India's put together at that point.
Bloody hope so. I can't go through this again. Can't go through this again.
Well, you got Ashes next year. So, we'll see what happens in there. And I think we kind of did this conversation to death last week with Pat Cummins is the vice captain at the moment. Makes sense. If you're going to pick a bowler, he's the guy you'd pick.
Although
haven't done that in 65 years.
I like that.
Our ship mass from last week.
From what we looked up.
Got to carry the one and exponentials and A squared plus B squared C squared. I was never good at it. Michael Stevenson, if you're listening, I always used to cheat off him in maths back in the day.
I think all three of us did.
Maybe.
But
he did put together this spreadsheet that we're using at the moment.
Yeah, still cheating off him. Shout out to the steamer. Love ya.
Yeah. If you don't want keeper, you look at the batters, and if it can't be Steve Smith, Labuschagne probably makes the most sense.
Yep.
But he's still young. I think he's 20.
No, he's 26, I think. Yeah, I think he's 26. But
that's not I think Clucky started when he was 28.
Yeah, and I reckon Pup would have been captain not much older than that.
Yeah.
I think Steve Waugh wouldn't have been much older than that.
So he could be in the frame there. Though, having said that, you look at some of his appeals he makes in the field, they've been absolutely terrible.
Did you see that one where it's not hit anything by
about
2
foot?
foot?
Yeah. And he's like,
he's sitting there under the helmet, bad. How's that? I think he was just getting bored, just trying to
just maybe
get involved in the game somehow.
Yeah, maybe the umpy's fallen asleep, but he might give me this one. Yeah. But
speaking of Marnus, most runs in Test cricket over the last 18 months.
Got 426 in this series.
Yeah, average 53.
Was this the most? Well, him and Smith had the most.
Yep. So
followed by the Indian batsmen.
Yep. So Labuschagne, as you mentioned, 426. Steve Smith in what was for him a lackluster series, still had 313 runs at nearly 40.
Got to remember he scored 10 in the first 4 innings, so that's not bad.
Yeah,
for a second half of the
came
series.
along in Sydney and Brisbane. Cameron Green, not a bad little debut series for him. He had 236 at 33.7.
You'd probably just look. You'd be in the side, but you'd look to get some more out of his bowling. So hopefully he can get his first wicket soon.
What's he bowled? 50 odd overs. You scroll right there. He's the poor bloke. He's bowled that many overs and hasn't got a pole yet. What do you have?
44.
44 overs. No poles. Jeez. I say I'm done if I bowl 3 and I haven't taken them. There you go. Give that to someone else. So, yeah, probably one of the bright spots for Australia was blooding him in this series. Made a lot of starts, just couldn't really go on.
I think Will was another one that you can see the potential. Of course, he didn't play enough, but he'll definitely be on the South African tour if it happens.
Yep.
Which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, you've some questions about guys. Travis Head's still young. Do you bring him back in?
Well, like I was saying to you before, if your name is not Labuschagne, Smith, Warner, obviously on talent, had a bit of a dud series, but talent-wise.
Go ahead, Nichols. You give him benefit of the doubt. You come back from it.
If your name's not Labuschagne, Smith, Warner, Cummins, Hazelwood, there's probably no guarantee that you've got a permanent position in this side. You'd think.
Yeah.
You'd think. Yep. And I love Mitchell Starc, love Nathan Lyon. I don't think they'll get dropped, but there is that question mark. Love Tim Payne, but there is that question mark.
Because you start thinking about some age. Lyon's 33, Payne's 35, I think, from memory.
No, Payne's like 37.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've done this like 4 times and got it wrong every single time.
I'm sure he's 37. Lyon's 33.
Definitely, yeah.
Even Warner's starting to get on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Who else have we got? Matt Wade.
Wade's...
How old's he?
He's 30...
Early 30s?
Yeah, 32 or 33 as well.
And there's no reason why, as a top order batsman, you can't play till you're 38. But given their form, there might be another serious changing of the guard in the Australian Test team.
Again, after this group has been there for this decade, and since the last kind of group finished up the decade before.
Well, Smith and the bowlers, Smith, Warner, and the bowlers have sort of been here this decade.
Yeah.
Everyone else in that group's, really only been in the side the last 2 years. Does that wrap up our cricket chat?
In
terms of the test.
On terms of the test,
Do you want to go through that run chase real quick?
You got the numbers there?
Yeah, so the last highest successful run chase was a target of 236 back in 1951.
At the Gabba.
At the Gabba.
So the Indians, hang on, quick maths, we got this, it's 51 to 21. 70 years, they broke a 70-year-old record and obliterated it. What did you say, 230?
236.
236.
That was back in 1951.
So by 100 runs.
Yeah.
They broke a 70-year-old record by 100
so
runs.
Dominant.
Yeah, hats off to them.
Yeah, they were so good in this. Can you just bring up the Australian Test captains? List of Australian Test captains?
Yep.
If you've got it already. So I just want to go win-losses and their average. Because I think since War and Ponting...
War, punter.
I think War's record was 41-9.
Yep.
Was it 41-9?
41-9.
We were spoiled, weren't we?
Yeah, well, Ponting
wouldn't be much worse than that.
No, he was something in 16.
So Ponting was 48 and 16.
Again, unreal. But then everyone since there's kind of hovering around the 500 mark.
What's Smudgy? What was he what was Smith?
Smith at the moment's 18 and 10.
Yep.
So
it's not too bad, but it's not as good as Mark Waugh, who only had 9 losses. Steve Waugh, sorry. Steve Waugh had 9 losses. Because go through what was Pups? Clarkey, I think he was 200. No, he was 29 and
24 and 16.
24 and 16.
Right. So a little bit worse, obviously, than since Steve Waugh was sort of been getting progressively worse.
Well, Ponting, I think, was that era still unreal. For what was it, 48 16s? Pretty good.
Yeah. But you also got to think about the Australian cricket team in those days. It picked itself.
Oh, easy.
Like there was so many test matches when it was like Langer, Hayden, Ponting, the back end of the War boys, and then the sort of the front end of Michael Clark, like
McGrath, Warner, Warney.
McGrath, Warney, Gillespie. Yep. Like there was like that many tests where they just played with the same guys.
Yeah, but Gilchrist, of course.
Gilchrist, of course. Healy before that. There wasn't sort of this ongoing sort of chop and change. With the bowling attack for the last sort of nearly 10 years has been pretty much Cummins, Hazelwood, Starc and Lyon.
Yeah, they've been really consistent.
But the batsmen, it's like a carousel for guys that aren't Smith or Warner. There's been so many.
Yep.
But yeah, we were spoiled as kids.
Yeah.
Take me back.
So, what was Pups?
28 and 16, did you say?
28 and 16.
24 and 16.
24 and 16.
Sorry, yep.
Yep. So, from 40 matches, he's just over the 500.
This not including draw. That was obviously draws.
There's, of course, draws too.
Yep, there's draws.
I'm just going with lost record at this moment. Then they had, who was after Pup? Then Smith. Smith was he 18 and 10?
Smith's 18 and 10. Yep.
Yeah.
and then what's Payne?
And Payne is on
29 and something.
11 and 8.
No, 11 8. Sorry, less. Yeah.
29 total, maybe.
29.
Test.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So 11 and 8.
11 and 8.
Again,
Still good.
It's not too bad, but it's still hovering around the 500.
There's obviously a trend, isn't there? It's been trending down.
Well, you can see where the golden era Australian cricket was.
Yeah.
In comparison to where it is now.
Yeah.
We're definitely still competitive. We're in because you're
competitive. Well, the number one test side, until New Zealand just got that, we rank highly in ODIs. We made the semi-finals of a World Cup not long ago. I think we've been better than competitive.
Yep. I mean, like in every match we are competitive. Like we have a chance to win that. Reflecting the record of it being around 500. We haven't been dominated to the point where it's like you're at that 200, 300 mark where you're quite low in your percentages, but you can see the clear difference.
And you can see a general trend, which is a little bit concerning.
Yes.
That'll wrap up on the Australian cricket team?
Yes. So, the last story of the Australian cricket team is they're going to South Africa in 2 months?
It's sooner than that. It's meant to be in like a month. So end of February. That is when they're meant to go, and test matches meant to start early March.
So where did England and that South Africa test happen? Was that in South Africa or they play neutral somewhere?
No, I think they played in South Africa.
Yeah. So I think, of course, there's questions. Does that test go ahead with everything that's going on?
Sean, have you learned anything?
COVID-wise?
Have you learned anything from COVID? If there is money involved, it will happen.
Yeah. Well, that's why
tens of thousands of Australians stuck overseas can't come home. Oh, but we'll have the Australian Open. People locked out of Queensland, they can't cross the border to see their loved ones. Oh yeah, we'll have a state of origin here. Wear a mask in your car, but we'll have 50,000 at Suncorp. I think it goes.
Still salty.
I am salty because politicians are damn liars. They're damn liars. And I lived in a world where I was blinded by it, but it's become apparent to me this year. I think it goes ahead. They might have to quarantine.
If the England South Africa one went ahead, I'd say this one probably goes ahead.
And I hope it does because Australia and South Africa are always a really nice matchup. It's hard to win over there. Probably the country that mirrors our conditions the most.
Yep.
But they're obviously very good over there and would love to see it happen. I think the players are all adamant that they're going. I suppose the only reason they wouldn't would be the South African government having something to say about it.
I think there's been a bit of chat back and forth about getting their jabs, and Cricket Australia is like, we're not going to push to get vaccines over people that need them.
Yeah, and in a month as well, like didn't all those people just die in Norway from this vaccine? Like, I don't think they get jabbed in the next month.
Yeah, exactly.
6 months time, maybe.
Yeah. But I think we're going bet on the test happening. So
yeah, I'd say it happens, and obviously the South African Cricket Board, South African government will have something to say about it. It might have reduced crowds and whatnot, but
cool.
It makes money, so I think it goes ahead.
Final point. Congrats, India. Great series. Thanks for coming. We'll see you very soon.
I think we'll go over there in 2.5 years, I think. Probably, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
The world might not exist in 2.5 years.